Are we rolling? Are we live? No countdown today because we're running a little bit behind. But hey, how you doing? Welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show. Happy Thursday, almost Friday, and almost Purple Friday here in Baltimore. Ravens and Browns this weekend. Got a lot to talk about with that. And honestly, got a lot to talk about in general because week 2 is in session. Ravens are celebrating the 25th anniversary of winning their first Super Bowl. So let's see who's on the docket here for today's schedule. And don't worry, Oriole fans, baseball fans, we will talk about the Orioles as we go around Maryland later on in the second hour of the show because there was some news that Mike Elias got a promotion inside the organization. And then the Birds, you guys just heard if you were tuning in to Kevin and Zach React, the Birds won again. And maybe they're back. They're enjoying a good run. How about that? But we got Nick Moore. We got Marvin Lewis, defensive coordinator on that Ravens team back in 2000, longtime head coach for the Bengals. And then Ross Tucker, who is calling the game for CBS. He's going to join us at 5 to kind of break it all down. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. It's brought to you by our friends over at Merritt. Why don't we bring on our first guest then, Zach, right? Because it's you. Hi, Zach. Zach Bollinger.
Yeah, how's it going? Oh, wrong one. But hey, how's it going?
Yeah, you're usually there.
I was going to say, usually I'm number 2 or I'm number 4 right now.
But you know who's never in studio, so we're not
yeah, doesn't have to worry about having what number he is.
Oh, shirts and pants. Well, why don't we bring on your favorite long snapper, my second favorite long snapper, Ravens long snapper, Nick Moore. Nick.
There we go. There we go. I'm backstage. Here we are. Should I turn it like this or no? That's
don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Right. I'm just making sure. What's going on, fellas?
How are you doing, Nick?
I am doing fabulous, dude. I am just sitting here at the facility trying to get this podcast in before we head home.
Yeah, you know what, man of the people. Also, if you don't mind, walk me through the logistics of what it's like after a game. Because I told people when in the pro life, pro sports, like, hey, it's great. You go and play in prime time. It's great to go and travel. That's fun. There's some late hours there. And I'm pretty sure you told me there was a F in front of that when describing what time you got in. What, 4 a.m. was your sleep time? Yeah,
we landed back at the airport at like just after 3. I got back to my house at like 4:15, and then I had to wake up for my day after the game massage at 9 a.m. and to my 2 kids. So I didn't have a ton of sleep. Monday was chalk. That's why I was unable to make it on the show Monday. But yeah, I mean the primetime games are sweet while they're going on, a lot of fun. But the post game, if you're on the road, the post game travel makes for a late night.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of those minor league days for people that don't know. And Zach, when I would play, one story I brought up recently was playing in Charleston, South Carolina, and the Delmarva Shorebirds got their ass kicked in a doubleheader, and then we drove to Charleston, West Virginia.
Been there, done that, baby.
And and like what happened? Well, we got in at like 8, 9 in the morning, and then it's like, all right, guys, we're just going to show up to the field, and you're going to play that night at 6:30.
Dude, there must be something with Charleston because we played in Rome, 7-inning. We played a 7:00 game in Rome, and it went to 15 innings.
Oh.
And we played in Charleston the next day, and we got in like almost the exact same time. I remember I was sitting on the bus with Mookie Betts, and we took some like Advil PM, tried to help sleep on the bus, and I was awake the entire trip. It was like 9 hours, and then we got in like 10 o'clock in the morning. Got breakfast, went to sleep, and showed up at the field at like 6:45 for a 7:05 first pitch.
Fun.
It's tough.
No one name drops someone so casually as Nick Moore.
Is it casual anymore?
He'll be like, yeah, I'm sitting on the bus with Mookie Betts, and we're trying to just sleep. Yeah, Nick will always start a story out, and then he'll name drop like 3 people, and then he'll just go past it like nothing happened. He's like, oh no, those guys. Those friends.
He's on my mind because I went to lunch with him on Saturday when they were in Baltimore. He called me out of the blue on Friday and was like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, I had just pulled out of the facility. I was like, I'm just leaving work, going to lunch. he's like, "Oh, we're in town this week," and I was like, "Bro, why didn't you tell me? I could have planned like further in advance." So unfortunately, we were going out of town, but I was able to catch him on the way to the airport. We had lunch, so it was good to see him again.
Nick, just a busy guy, knows everybody.
I do know a lot of. I used to make fun of my dad because he knew everybody, and now I feel like that's me.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of like that.
I was having a beer with Michael Jordan the other day.
One day that'll happen. All right.
Oh goodness, Nick, you're a good kid. I don't care what they say about you. You're a good kid. But yes, you guys were away, so you couldn't come to the O's game, see your boy throughout the first pitch, which wasn't my best work. I'll be honest.
It was a ball.
It was a ball.
It was a ball, but it was brushing a lefty off the inside part of the dish.
I mean, in your defense, catcher didn't help you with the frame job at all. Really looking from a ball to a ball.
Yeah, really.
He made it look even worse. Yeah.
Got to pull that back.
Yeah, we got to work on a lot of things. We got to work. What?
Frame job? Where's the frame job at, dude? Just stick that thing. Dude.
They say with baseball, the lost art now of framing it, because now they're going. It's going to the ABS system. So why frame? Why frame? Yeah. Framing matters, in my opinion. It was a skill. It was a skill, just like long snapping, Nick. It's a skill.
Yeah, it's a lost art. That's for sure.
It's a lost art. It's one of those things. A century from now, they're going to talk about the lost art of Nick Moore. That's what I'm expecting, and also having a beer with Michael Jordan. Nick, you're a good kid. We'll stay away from college football today. My opinions still have not changed. I still like Georgia. Just saying.
Yeah,
still like Georgia.
I'm with you.
SEC. I mean, I'll just leave it at this. Florida. Yeah.
Okay. Hand up, bro. I agree. I think.
And that conference is better than ever.
At least Alabama's doing Alabama things, right?
Yeah, they won.
They're on fire. Hey, I'll say Florida State looks good, man. That's a good football team. I wasn't sure if it was Florida State was really good or Alabama was really bad, but I think Florida State is going to be a good team. I'm interested to see how they fare against Miami and some of the other Clemson, and it's going to be a good season for them. I think that quarterback's legit, man.
Headline: Nick Moore excited for ACC football.
Yep.
No, just Florida State. No, actually, I'm excited for Miami too.
So ACC football.
Well, ACC fanatic.
Who would have thought? He's a Mid-Atlantic guy at heart.
Yeah. So I've been working with the Clemson long snapper for a while, last year or so. And I talked to him. He texted me on Friday before we were getting ready to go to Buffalo. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Yo, good luck for the season, whatever." And I texted back. I was like, "Yo, man, good luck. I saw you last week. You got a really good team. Everything's going great." And then I'm sitting next to Trent Simpson on the plane, and he's got the Clemson game up there losing to Troy. I'm like, I just thought they had a good team. They did come back, and I got.
Wait, Nick, who do you Clemson. What long snapper?
The Clemson guy, Philip.
He was my long snapper in high school.
Was he really?
Well, yeah. I went to me and his older brother Andrew were in the same grade, and then he was 2 years behind me. But yeah, he was my junior and senior year. He was our long snapper.
Wow, yeah. I snapped with him a couple times over the summer when he was up in Maryland.
Tell him I said hi. I love Flo.
I will. I
know my guys too. Okay, I know my guys too, Nick.
Hey, I know you do, man.
Nick was about to he was trying to name drop right there, but then you name drop back I know that guy.
That's how
I was.
Nick
it was a college football conversation. Okay.
Okay. It was. Hey, it was.
It was.
ACC is the exciting conference of 2025.
So far, I have to. I'm inclined to agree with that statement. I think they've showed a lot of promise this year. So far, it's early. It's still early.
It's early, but you know what? That's all I need. We don't need to talk about anything more, Zach. That's all I need to hear. That's all I needed to hear. Nick, hey, home opener, bud. Excited for you. There's really nothing to really talk about in Buffalo from the game happened. It's over. You move on, blah, 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 that was fun for until it wasn't. But overall though, actually I know for you're always a harsh critic of yourself. But one thing I thought was really cool on the special team side was I was so happy to see Luke knock through the first one from long distance, and the second one. That was one thing I was watching, but maybe just from your perspective, Tyler looked comfortable, man. He looked really comfortable in a tough place to play. And he hit the hell out of it too. So just your little thoughts so far on his first game in the NFL.
Yeah, he was definitely comfortable. I think, for his first game, I mean, for any game, first game or not, I thought he played great. I talked to him after the game. I know he was upset missing the PAT, but, I told him, man, for your first game in the NFL, you did something no one's ever done. So I found this out. He's the first kicker to ever make a tackle on the very first play of the game in his very first NFL game. And then he goes down, he hits that 53-yarder when our line for a field goal going that way, because there was like wind coming in, was only 48 yards. And then we took the sack on third down, and Harbs was like, what do you guys want to do? I was like, fucking, let's kick it. Like, we want to kick, like, yes. And so he goes out there and he drills it. And then he hits that, I think it was a 49-yarder going the other way. And, I thought he struck the ball really well. I thought his kickoffs were very dynamic. I think it made it very difficult. It got some pretty unfortunate bounces on the turf just because it was a pretty consistent playing field all the way through. But, I think his kickoffs are going to be a weapon for us moving forward. And I was just really proud of him, seeing all the work that he's put in from May, June, during training camp, in the preseason. I feel like he really built off every day and then built off what he did in the preseason and the confidence he had rolling off that week 3 game in Washington in the preseason. And, I was just really happy for him to go out there to kind of show everyone that he's there to do it. I know, there's always things that we can get better at, and we got to make those PATs. But at the end of the day, man, I thought he had a hell of a game, and I was really proud of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Nick, talk about real fast. You just kind of mentioned it. First kick is 53 yards and absolutely nails it. What coming off the field after that, what was kind of the feeling and, vibes of, okay, like, hey, not only do you you're hoping maybe your first one is like a 35-yarder, 40-yarder.
Yeah.
Like, okay, easy, just see one go through the hoop. But he goes out there, high pressure situation.
Right after the sack, right?
Yeah, Buffalo goes down the field, they score. Now the Ravens come down, they have some momentum, penalty, sack, take it out of it. And you're like, okay, we got to salvage something here. That's a lot of, for your first kick and some hostile environment, Sunday Night Football. What was it like coming off the field after he nails that?
I think that's probably one of the most excited moments I've been a part of, just because it was his first play. It was honestly, it was a pretty difficult kick. Like, we were kicking into a pretty steady headwind. You just don't know how someone's going to react on not his first play, but that's his first field goal. And like, we kind of laughed after the fact. He was like, man, I was really hoping my first kick was going to be a PAT. And like, obviously, everyone's kind of feeling the same, but for him to go out there and to put that down, like, it had to be a huge confidence boost for him. I know it was for me. I know it was for the guys on the sidelines watching that, because, we have a standard here that we've had for a long time, and it's like 53 yards is well within the range. So we need to have those points, because situations like that, if we took a sack on third down, if we missed a kick or we decide not to kick it, we punt it, they got tons of momentum. That place is rocking, even more than it was at that. I mean, that's probably the loudest field goal I think I've been a part of, since I've been in the NFL. And it was just such a great play by him. I think all of us, all 11 guys on the field, we executed. Everybody blocked well. Snap was good. Hold was great from Jordan. And Tyler, man, he just took a confident stroke at him, man, and he crushed that thing. And I was just, obviously love to see it go through the uprights.
I mean, I think just it's that one. I look at it from the baseball side, right? So I always, when I see people get up to the bigs, right, Nick, but then they get that first knock and that relief on their you see it on their face, or they get the ball and you're like, hell yeah, that's an awesome moment. You get to be a part of first kick Tyler Loop ever made in his career. It's against one of the best teams in the NFL, in one of the best environments to play against. And now you can kind of move on, and now the road is going to get tougher. The road's going to get even more exciting in a different sense, right? Because you're going to have challenges ahead. First division game's going to be this weekend. against the Brownies. But before I get into that, then Nick, because I got 2 questions for you. Then we have Marvin Lewis joining us at 4:45. So first thing was I wanted to ask you about the game ball situation where they are saying right now, right, Zach, about you can use. You're able to now use. You can practice with the balls or use the balls that you practice with. Does that give you guys more confidence, or like I feel like just the consensus I've heard from a lot of people is like that is more reassuring that you know what you're kind of dealing with more.
Yeah. So before it was kind of like that Forrest Gump line, life's like a box of chocolates, because when we would go into a game, like they opened the balls, they got 45 minutes or an hour to work on the balls, under the supervision of whether it was a referee or like some type of administrator was watching them, break the balls in, scrub them, do all the stuff. And literally the first time I saw the ball was the first time I got on the field and had to snap it. So like, I'm hoping that like I've been able to, I was talking to the guy that made the balls for us in the past, and like, he kind of knew what I was basically trusting he was going to do what I asked him to do for the ball, and what me and Tuck and Jordan had asked for. And a lot of times it was perfect,
Yeah.
And it was great and all that stuff, but you didn't know what you were going to get. So it's very, there was a lot of uncertainty with that. So now we have all 60 balls. We're allowed to use them as much as we want in practice. We can break them in however we want to break them in. Each ball can be scanned in 3 times. So basically you could check it in, even if it doesn't you have to check 3 balls in every game. Mm-hmm. Even if it doesn't get used, it counts as a check-in. So they basically have to scan the code on it, and it counts as a use. So each ball gets 3 check-ins. Now the referees have to, the officials, or I don't know exactly who's doing the monitoring of the footballs, but they basically inspect them, a certain amount of time before the game, and they have to clear them so that you can't do, like, there's certain things you can't do as far as, like, when you push in the edges, you can't use certain parts of your body or like a wall or certain things like that. And you can't use certain types of mud and all that stuff. But they have the right of, first refusal. They can basically say that ball is not acceptable or whatever. But I mean, just knowing what the ball feels like, what it's going to do coming off your foot, for the punters and the kickers, and being able to kind of shape it however you want, and also having used it in a live setting, it just you just know what you're going to get when you walk out there. So you're going to be a little bit more confident, just because, like, I'm grabbing the ball, like, dude, I've already snapped this ball, 10, 15, 20 times, and I've done really well with it. I'm confident in it. I like the ball. The grip is good, whatever. And you're able to execute. I think what it's going to do is we're going to see a lot of longer field goals. I think we're going to see balls being kicked further. I think punts are going to be further or higher, or both. I think teams are going to be trying longer field goals because guys are going to use them in practice. They're going to see, coaches are going to be able to see it live, in a practice team setting. So they're going to have confidence that, hey, they could kick this ball in practice, from 65. We're going to try the same thing in a game. And I'm like, we were actually just talking about it today. I'm honored to be part of the 66-yard NFL record, but I don't know. I don't foresee that lasting that much longer, whether that's this season or next season, because we've already seen a 70-yard field goal from Cam Little during the preseason. So it's just a matter of getting the right opportunity to try a field goal like that, whether it's into half, into game, must have, like, that's a situationally dependent type of kick. But I'm confident that we're going to see a lot more longer field goals this season coming up.
I do too. I think that's where it's heading. It reaffirms that, hearing from you all, the confidence of being able to practice with it. And then the coaches, I think that's a big part. Coaches seeing what the players can do, and then you can take that to the game. And it's truly can you do it in practice and then take the exact same thing into a game? Yeah, there's nerves, there's atmosphere, there's conditions. But yeah, you're right. We're seeing guys test the limits here. So that one record, well, maybe then you'll have to reset your record, Nick. So
that's exactly what we said.
There you go. Right. See, that's what we got.
Mindset.
Hey, Nick, before we let you go, then we just wanted to play this one clip because this player actually got a good smack on him. Yeah. But Grant Delpit apparently said that tackling Derrick Henry is, well, Guess not that much of a challenge. Just want to play the clip and then just want your thoughts real quickly.
Not hard.
Graham, I mean, we going back now. We saw it last year.
One more time.
Not hard.
So the question, Nick, was how hard is it to bring down Derrick Henry? And Grant Delpit responded with, not hard. So,
and again, like he did hit him. He did
he
get
had
him
a hit on him last year.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Having said that, though, Nick, thoughts? I mean, Derrick looked good on.
I think he looked.
Sunday.
I thought he looked great. I mean, he's obviously upset about the fumble, but I mean, he rushed for 180 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this point, Derrick speaks for itself. I mean, what he can do with the football in his hands, it's special. And bringing him down is something that is. I personally, I don't have to do it, thankfully, but I don't think it's something that's easy to do. And I feel like we had the same conversation last year that maybe led to some extracurriculars, pregame with certain players on certain teams in the NFL. So I'm not going to go there, but I think Derrick's one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL. I think he's a special player. I think power is his, one of his strong suits as well as his speed. And I just don't know, I don't agree with that statement. I think I think if anything, he's just trying to make a statement by, whatever, he hit him last year. Cool. Everybody can get somebody once, but it's just a matter of, can you do it when he's getting the ball 20, 25, 30 times? So we'll find out. I mean,
we'll find out on Sunday.
Yeah, we will. So it's going to be a great game, man. I'm excited. The Browns look really good, at least on special teams. They look fantastic. They look really good. I got a ton of respect. Too. Yeah. And, they've had, in my time here, they've had, we've split basically the 3 years I've gone against them. We've split. So it's going to be a great division rivalry game at home in Baltimore. I'm looking forward to the opportunity, look forward to the challenge. I think, we need to come back from what we did last week and build off the good things and correct some of the stuff we can get better at. And that's for everybody, me included. And we're gonna put our best foot forward moving into Sunday.
Boom, baby. That's what we want to see. And then we can chat about it. And then we can also chat a little bit more about what's happening on the college football slate. But to close that out, Derrick Henry, by the way, I saw a tweet the other day of saying, is there any other running back in the NFL that would be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Not Hall of Famer, first ballot. I think that list might start and end with Derrick Henry at the moment. And also most rushing yards since he's entered the league. It's been Derrick Henry every single year since he has come into the league. He's a freak. He's a freak. Yeah, some say he's the Nick Moore, or he's the long snappers, So
he's the Nick Moore of running backs.
That's what it was. Sorry. You know what? I did my best, Nick. Well, you know what? Hey, I appreciate you, man. You're a good kid. I don't care what we say behind closed doors about you. We're proud of you. All right.
I appreciate you guys.
Thanks. All right, Nick, be good, be safe, and good luck this Sunday against the Brownies.
Thanks, gentlemen. I'll see you guys soon.
Nick Moore, everybody. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We just talked with Ravens long snapper Nick Moore. And I thought that was an interesting conversation about the field goal distance, Zach. I think we are going to see that continue to evolve. I think that the NFL changing that rule, there's a comfortability. And there's guys that have the leg. There's no doubt about it.
Ryan, it's so crazy to me. 10 years ago, I feel like when we were watching, even, during the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, that era and stuff, it was big. When a kicker hit a 53-yarder, you were like, wow. Okay, 50 was not guaranteed. Now 50, anything under 55, you feel like a kicker's going to nail. It used to be 55 felt like what 60-yarders feel like now. It is crazy how over the last, really, I would say 10, 15 years, I will not be surprised. We will see 70 yards. I mean, we've already seen it in preseason, but there's no doubt we're going to see 70, 71, 72 probably in the next year or so. That is a position that has, talk about evolving at insane rate.
It's inevitable, it seems like. And the game's evolved, but there's still a lot of the fundamentals that stay the same. You still got to go out there and execute. You still got to go out there and do your job. And if you do your job well enough, you're going to have an opportunity to go off and, chase down the ultimate goal, winning a Super Bowl, which kind of leads us in to our next guest. If he's ready, Coach, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to rock and roll. Beautiful. You know what, Zach? I met our next guest when I was younger, when I was a little guy, blonde hair. We talked about it. Used to be adorable. Lot better hair as a kid.
A lot more of it.
But he had the opportunity to chase down a Super Bowl title here in Baltimore, and then went on to be a head coach for a long time. And it's okay against a division rival. Once you get into the business, I was so sad initially, Zach, and I'll explain to him on the air. But one of the best defensive coordinators here, one of the best guys to know in the NFL. Let's bring on Marvin Lewis. Marvin, how you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you guys today?
I'm doing well. I met you way back in the day, and I remembered why I wanted to bring this up, why I was so sad. I grew up in a baseball family, Coach, and I understood it as a young age. I didn't understand why Mike Mussina was on the Orioles at the time, and he left to go to the Yankees. And I'm like, man, I miss Mike. And when you went to Cincy, I go, well, why would Marvin want to leave? And then you get older and you go, wow, he got to go and be a head coach. That's awesome. But I appreciate you taking time because this is a special time coming up here. I got to ask then, does it feel like it's been 25 years since you were here?
It really doesn't. As they say, time flies and we continue to get older and so forth. And, it does not feel like it's been that long, but gosh, those guys are great. And I was very fortunate to coach that group of players.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a different style now.
You think?
To say the least, I got to know, you were behind the scenes. If you could explain to people what those types of practices were like. It felt like that was a whole different energy in a group that you had there back in 2000.
Yeah, it really was. And I tell people a couple of things that stick out. When we signed Rod Woodson in 98, he helped empower Ray to be even more special than Ray already was. And that was really cool. So when we brought Rod in, he helped Mike McCreary, Rob Burnett, some of the pros we already had, Goose, see how here's a guy who had been all pro already at two positions and how he ate, how he studied, how he trained. It was special for those guys. And for the young guys, the Dwayne Starks and later the Chris McAllisters, the Peter Boulwares, the Jamie Sharpers, Cornell Brown, all those guys we had. It helped. Rod helped set a standard that way.
There we go. Sorry about that. It felt like, that leadership component that people have and that people don't talk about enough, that one player can have such an impact on another, and that can go for a coaching staff, that can go for anybody in an organization. And I've heard that when you have a lot of those people in a building, you can get something to become great. And obviously I'll be biased, but I don't think it's a clear argument that defense was one of the best, if not the best. In my mind, it was the best the NFL's ever seen.
It really was.
Yeah.
No, it really was. They want to say the 85 Bears, but literally the 86 Bears had better stats. They didn't win the Super Bowl. But no, they were special. And, what people saw on Sunday from Ray, I witnessed every day in practice. Mm-hmm. That's how he practiced. He came in with great work ethic, great leadership ability, and it never waned. And so I was blessed to be a part of those guys. I was with Rod in Pittsburgh before we brought him he left for San Francisco for a year, then we brought him to Baltimore. And so he helped me throughout the whole time be a better coach. There's no question in my mind about that.
So then I got to ask you go on to be a head coach, one of the longest tenured head coach, during your stint there in Cincy. And I think people realize how hard it is to win in the NFL. and you had so many winning seasons in Cincinnati. Obviously, you have more aspirations, but can you talk about the day-to-day grind of the NFL? And then above all, what's it like playing in this AFC North? Because it every time, I don't care who it is, the Browns are coming to town. You got Cincy, you got Pittsburgh, you got Baltimore. It just feels like it's a literal dogfight every time you guys are on the field.
It's a physical division. And when I was in Baltimore, we also had, we had Tennessee and Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all had big running backs. They had big receivers. So we had to build a team to compete and beat those guys. And then later when I got the job in Cincinnati, it was a similar task, that we had to build a team that would be big and physical. And so had to change the whole landscape of how they looked at players in Cincinnati. And in order to be successful, have an opportunity to be successful in the division.
Well, that's a good point. Physical, even though the game has changed a little bit, I think that physicality is still here. I will say, though, as far as identity in Baltimore has shifted, it used to be very defensive minded, which I still believe at its core. They want to be physical in the trenches, run the football on offense, stop the run on defense. But the Ravens have Lamar Jackson now, dynamic, one of the best players in the league, one of the best talents the league's ever seen. And it seems like on defense, Coach, they are trying to find an identity. And you mentioned about parts coming in. In your opinion, what's the hardest thing for a team when you're trying to figure out what makes you work? Because it's not as simple as saying, hey, we have talent at every level. It's going to work out. There's so much that goes into it. Could you just try to explain a little bit of those intricacies of trying to figure things out when you feel like your performances should be better?
Well, you really do. You're as a coach, you turn over every rock, every stone. And early in my coaching career, I was coaching at the University of New Mexico, and the basketball coach, Gary Colson, he'd had some experience, to say the least. And Gary came in the coach's dressing room one day, and he says, when you're struggling to win a game, people on the outside don't understand this, but you're doing your best coaching because you are turning every rock, every stone in order to figure out a way to come out and be 1 point ahead. And that's the truth of the matter, the grind that it takes. I spoke with Ozzie, while the Ravens were in training camp, and he's like, schedule makers, they put them in Buffalo to begin the season. And, it's crazy. This week we got the Eagles in Kansas City. So, how they do it. And TV's making a splash. And but yet you as a coach, John had to get that team ready to play. And just like, Sean on the other side, but win or lose, they still have 16 other games to go forward with. Mm-hmm. And they're going to put that one just counts as one. It's an AFC game, but it just counts as one. And then they've got to put it behind them and move forward. And that's the case. But you're always trying to fit the guys together. And if you got great internal leadership, which I do think they have in Roquan, that's very, very helpful. They've got, Marlon Humphrey over there, Roquan. Some guys have got some experience now over there. His name won't come to me, but what's his face? The outside linebacker that's been in the league for a while.
Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah, Van Noy. So, they've got some guys that have been on very good football teams. And so they'll figure it out.
I feel like the good teams always do. And I know the one narrative, unfortunately, right, because the NFL, especially with the Ravens over the years, since Lamar Jackson took over as a starting quarterback, but we can take it further back. But since Lamar took over, which I believe, Coach, if Brad's correct, was Lamar's first start against your Bengals?
It was. And I was calling the defense for the Bengals because I had made a change at coordinator. And you see how I'm rubbing my head because I'm remembering back. And on Friday afternoon, we hear that Lamar's going to be the starter instead of Joe Flacco because we had already beat him early in the year when Joe was the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Lamar was now going to be the starter. And so everything, we had worked on, we had to adjust Friday, Saturday. And the first third down in the game, I think it was 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7, they ran a quarterback draw. So all of that stuff I had just went out the window because it was a different game.
Mm-hmm. So in your mind now, if you put your defensive coordinator hat back on, for those that don't understand how much of a headache or rubbing your eyes Lamar Jackson is, even in his first start, I mean, what is it now when you watch him?
Yeah.
For
Well,
coordinators.
He's improved so much as a passer. And I don't know how many passes he completed that day. I'm going to say it was 8 or 10. It wasn't a lot. But the thing that happened in that game, even when he left the pocket, our cornerbacks they couldn't judge initially how fast he was. And so they had to change angles in order to get to him as he left the pocket. And he still has that speed. He sits in the pocket more. He understands the route development. He goes to his progression. So you see all those things more. He's more patient in the pocket. And, Todd Monken, those guys have done a great job with him and T coaching him. And he's matured and he's done better. James Urban, who had been with me, was his coach when he was a rookie. And, they really, really, really got Lamar to play at a high level very quickly.
He's evolved, and I think that's the key word in everything, but specifically in sports, right? It's how do you take that next step? And whether that's from the player's perspective, obviously, if you go on to be a successful player in the NFL or any professional sport, what do you do from year 1 to year 2 and beyond? And probably, coach, even for your sense, how do you grow as a coach from your beginning days to moving forward? And I'm sure as a defensive coordinator, when you got the opportunities, let alone becoming a head coach, you had failures that you dealt with, right? I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Do you have a failure? Before I let you go, I want to ask you one other memory, but do you have a failure moment that you still think back to as an early coach in this league?
Yeah, I have two. I'll remember that first season in Baltimore, and one we lost to the Patriots, and it was like 35-38 or something like that. And the two worst people looking after the game were me and Bill Belichick, because Bill was calling the defense for the Patriots that day as the defensive coordinator of Parcells. And then that same year, it was Thanksgiving, and we were at Old Memorial Stadium. And we had gotten beat by then the new, I don't know if it was still the Houston Oilers or the new Tennessee Titans or whatever, with Steve McNair, Eddie, and they had the running back, Ronnie Harmon. I don't think Eddie George was quite there yet. And so anyway, long story short, I call a defense and Ronnie Harmon catches the ball, first down, boom. I called man-to-man coverage. Ronnie Harmon catches the ball versus a linebacker, boom. So I put Eric Turner on him. Steve McNair leaves the pocket and runs 40 yards for a touchdown because neither safety other than Eric could tackle him. And I just left my hands, and I was just like, oh, my gosh. So after the game, I think it was Thanksgiving. And anyway, there was opportunity to have family dinner at the stadium. Mm-hmm. And I remember being in line, either in front or in back of Mr. and Mrs. Modell, and Pat saying to me, oh, I just love these guys. They just play their little hearts out. And I thought Mr. Modell was going to choke. I mean, he turned beet red because Art Modell never wanted to lose. And I had so many moments with Mr. Modell when we in the playoffs that year, when we won the Super Bowl, and Kim Herring got hurt, and he loved Anthony Poindexter from his days at Virginia, and Anthony was on the team, and we were getting ready to play. I think Kim got hurt in the first game against Denver, and we were getting ready to play Tennessee, I think. And Mr. Modell's out of practice as he was every day. He's Marv Poindexter. And I said, Mr. Modell, no, I'm going to start Anthony Mitchell. He says, Marv, your stock is at an all-time high. You better be right on this one. And Anthony, he played well. I think he might have tipped the ball, but we blocked the kick. He caught it, ran it back for a touchdown. And so he saved Anthony. So Anthony Mitchell saved my butt over Anthony Poindexter that day.
See, those are the hidden stories back in the day. What could have been You went, hey, but you made the call, Coach. You made the call.
Yeah.
I can see that was a very stressful call for you, but it worked out. It was amazing, and I love hearing these stories. I'm so excited that they're going to celebrate coming up here, and as you know, winning a championship is so hard. So much work goes into it. And then those moments like there to get to it even make it so much better. So I appreciate it. And before I let you go, is there anywhere where people can find you or anything you have going on?
Well, I'm doing some games on what's called Sports USA Radio. So I'm doing some NFL games, and I don't know, we might be coming to Baltimore week 5 or so, I guess. 5 or 6, they told me maybe that I might have a game in Baltimore. So because I told him I was busy that weekend in December versus the Steelers, though. Maybe I can still do both that day. But that's what I'm doing. I actually spent the morning at ASU's practice over there. So I still get my football fix and go watch practice and hang out with the coaches at ASU. And now I'll come home and I'm doing the Carolina Panthers at the Cardinals this week. So I have a home game.
So you're staying busy. You are staying busy. Well,
Yeah.
Coach, I hope to see you back in Baltimore here in the future. But in the meantime, it was great chatting with you. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to go back and look up some of the highlights with Anthony Mitchell and Poindexter. All
Yes,
right?
sir. All right, for sure. All right.
I
Good to be with
appreciate
you, man.
Coach. Marvin Lewis, everybody. I love seeing the smile. I love seeing the memories come back.
It's the stories. The stories are what make it great.
It's all. That's what I tell you, Zach. When you go back in time and when people talk about moments, yes, when you win Super Bowls and you win championships or you win division titles, World Series, whatever people go on to win, that's nice. Don't get me wrong. But what people always like to go back to are those little moments, because it's the people and the memories that you're going to have continuing on. And that's truly what you miss at the end of the day. So if you're new to the channel, though, hit that like and subscribe button. We've already had 2 great guests. We had Ravens long snapper Nick Moore joined us to talk about how the ACC is back now. You know, ACC's
Loves the
ACC guy now.
Huge ACC guy now.
Coach Marvin Lewis reminiscing on the 25-year anniversary with the Baltimore Ravens. And then, we're talking about kind of present in the past. But let's talk about what's going to be happening right now, I guess, in a couple days, Zach.
Yeah,
Ravens, Browns.
Go future now.
Future. Oh, there it is. Go future. So while in this case, if you're ready, Ross, let me know. Just give me a thumbs up. Boom. He's ready to rock and roll. You probably have seen him all over the place. But if not, guess what? You're going to hear him and see him this Sunday in Baltimore. He's at Ross Tucker NFL and host of the Ross Tucker podcast. Let's bring on, you guessed it, Ross Tucker. Ross, how you doing?
Ryan, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much for having me. I am very, very fired up for this weekend. This is as close to a home game as I get. I live in Hershey, Harrisburg area, Pennsylvania. So it's only about an hour and 15 minutes away. So it's definitely closer than even Lincoln Financial Field, even though I do a lot of Eagles stuff. So looking forward to heading down later tonight and enjoying the Inner Harbor a little bit, maybe some Jimmy's seafood on Friday night, and get ready to call a game.
So I was just going to ask, you come to Baltimore, you gotta have some seafood that you're going to, it's like crab cakes in football. That's what Maryland does. Well, good. I'm glad that's close for you. I obviously, being from this region, spent my fair share of going up Harrisburg, though. I think the last time I was in Harrisburg was playing Double-A against the Nationals. We won. Cedric Mullins, Zach, had a hit for the cycle in the finale. We won the series and advanced to the championship. Lost to the Yankees Double-A team. But let's not go down my memory past here. Ross, before we get talking about this game on Sunday, do you mind talking a little bit about futurefans.com and why this is the perfect place for kids to understand the game of football and what they can continue to know about the sport they love? And I guess there's some more options that are coming besides just football.
Yeah, so first of all, I looked up because I was curious if you had ever played for the Harrisburg Senators, Ryan, because I knew I think you had been with the Nationals organization or something at some point. So
I did.
It looked like you were with the Bowie Bay Sox instead. I grew up in Reading, so I'm a big Reading Phillies guy. I threw out the first pitch this summer, which was a lot of fun, going back to my hometown of Reading, which was great. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I don't know, Ryan, if you have any kids, you're pretty young still. It is impossible nowadays to get young kids to just sit there and watch the game with you. Like impossible. You know, with iPads and everything else. That's why I partnered up with these guys from futurefans.com. They kind of cracked the code on how to get kids to actually sit down and watch the game, because they came up with this storybook-led activity box, right? So you read a story, which kids love. They all love these storybooks. And then you have an activity. So it's a ring toss. You throw the bean bags in the rings, but it at least gets them to understand the downs, like how football works.
Yeah.
And then after that, I've talked to a bunch. I mean, I wouldn't have invested in the company if I didn't talk to a dozen people that said it works. Now my son or daughter actually sits there and watches the whole Eagles game or Ravens or Steelers or whatever, like we used to. I mean, I don't know about you, Ryan, but for me, like we went to church, we came home, I watched the Eagles with my dad. He would flip out and get all upset, but it was fun. We were doing it together, you know, like it was this shared experience. So it's only like $60. I think if you go to futurefans.com, they shoot you a 20% discount. So then it's $50. It looks like you're giving the gift to your child, but let's be honest. If it works and they actually start watching the Ravens with you every week, that's a gift to yourself for years. And it's worth a shot, right? These guys are Bengals fans. And a few years ago, when the Bengals made the Super Bowl, they could not get their kids to watch the games with them. And their kids are like, we'll do it next year. They're like, no. We're Bengals fans. We're never going to the Super Bowl again. Like, sit your you-know-what down. But that doesn't work. Futurefans.com does it. Highly recommend it. And I do think, Ryan, they're coming out with a baseball project, because I never thought of it this way.
Yeah.
But evidently for like a 5, 6, 7-year-old, baseball's super hard to explain too. It's not as intuitive as people think, you know, with the way it works. So they're coming out with a baseball product as well. So I know they got soccer, which I thought was like the most self-explanatory of all time. I don't really understand that one. Kick the ball in the net, but whatever. Futurefans.com.
I love that. And for so many reasons, though, you're right, of that bond and having kids understand in this generation, right? Each generation goes through, you know, their different stages of how they're going to then intake information and also how they're going to gravitate towards something. You know, back then growing up for me, I'm 32 now. It was not, and Zach, don't look at me that way. I know you're born in 2000, you're 25, you're a baby. That's a whole different discussion. But I was fortunate. I grew up in the locker room, right? So whether I liked it or not, I was going to learn the game of baseball at a whole different lens. But not everyone gets that opportunity. And also moving forward, how many opportunities can you have with family members being able to watch a game? The game brings so much, and sports in general brings so much. So I'm excited about that. Futurefans.com. People can check that out. We'll make sure get the link so people can check it out as well. Before, I wanted to start on football, but you mentioned first pitch, by the way. I threw out the first pitch on Saturday at Camden Yards. My dad had his 30th anniversary of the streak.
I heard, yeah.
How did your first pitch experience go? Was it a strike? Did you go middle?
So first of all, Ryan, what I wanted to tell you is a couple things. One is, you know, growing up in Reading in the late 80s, early 90s, I was a Phillies fan, okay? But the Vet was such a piece of crap. And the Orioles had just built Camden Yards, which was the first stadium like that. Yeah. I think we went to more Orioles games, my dad and I, than Phillies games, just because Camden Yards was so cool and unique. Who was the guy out in right field that would be like grilling burgers like a Hall of Famer? It was unbelievable. Boog Powell or something?
Yeah, that's it. And Boogs, they still got it there.
It's unbelievable. So anyway, not only that, and then at some point in my adult life, I met your father, and dude, he's a much bigger dude than I realized. I can't believe that guy played short. And I remember he would always play basketball in the offseason. I remember thinking, that's the worst idea ever. How is this guy playing that many consecutive games, playing basketball in the offseason? Like, all he needs is one sprained ankle or one whatever, and that'll ruin the streak. But at any rate, your dad was great. But I was like very surprised talking with him how big he was and that he played shortstop. That like blows my mind. That like takes away every stereotype I had of what a major league shortstop would look like with just how big your dad was. Great dude, obviously. Getting a chance to meet him. So that's incredible that he had that streak. I love it. I love that they had the 30th anniversary. I heard of that. And, it's funny that streak will never be broken. And with every year, it gets more impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that everyone can appreciate, right?
Yeah.
Like, I sucked at baseball. Okay. I stopped in 7th grade. I was a football, basketball guy. But just the idea of going out there and going to work every day. I mean, we live in a day and age when basketball players play like half the games, like they don't play back-to-backs basketball, So for your dad to line it up that many years, that many games in a row, it's absolutely incredible. Like it really is. I mean, obviously good fortune too, but it's pretty awesome, man. Especially at that size. You would have thought, I can see a little guy doing that, but a big guy being able to go out there, that's even more impressive.
Yeah, I want to clarify one thing here, though, Ross. I am the taller Ripken. I just want to throw that out there. I'm 6'5". He is now shrunk down to 6'3". In his heyday, Zach, 6'4". Calvin was, he's definitely a little bit. He's even a bigger shortstop now than he was. But it's the one thing, Ross, I grew up with that. If anything slightly was wrong, I got the question: could you play? Not if you could, just could you play? Like, oh yeah, well, I think so. You think you can play? Well, then you should play. That's what I grew up with. But I got to be honest, I appreciate it that much more. And then ironically, we talked to Joe Thomas this Monday, and then he was the Iron Man of the NFL, right? It just happened to be, the Browns are playing this week. Talked to Joe, and we talked about playing all those snaps and how
that's insane. That's insane. On a team that was terrible the whole time, he never once got out of the game. They would try to send a guy in for him. He would send them back out.
Yeah.
Like that guy, I can't tell you. So when people ask me, like people who I look up to in pro sports now, I played 7 years. I got hurt a bunch. I think I started 25 games, played in 45.
Mm-hmm.
Any guy, Ryan, that plays 10 plus years, O-line or D-line and linebacker, and lines it up every Sunday for 100, 150 starts, like those guys, the physical and mental toughness, those are the people we should be looking up to.
Oh, no doubt about that. And, another left tackle that's one of the best in the game, Jonathan Ogden, we've become friends with over the years. Large individual, by the way. But the linemen, Ross, I know you know this better than anybody. You guys do the dirty work. It's done. And what happens inside the trenches, sometimes you don't want to know everything, but to show up each and every day, however you feel. And Joe's reason why he did was I thought I was the best option, even if I was at 50, 60%, because I owed it to my team. So it's entrenched there. I know the Brownies, haven't had the success when he was there, and they're trying to find their way now. So why don't we talk a little bit about this game? Because you're going to be front and center. You're going to have a great perspective on it. You always do. Divisional game, AFC North. If you heard the part before, Coach Marvin Lewis always talked about how this division's physical. I don't think that's going to change this Sunday, especially with how Cleveland's defensive side is. Baltimore, I believe, has that talent, but I think a lot of people are having a little bit more concerns about where the identity is. Could you just maybe talk about what you're curious about seeing from these two defenses here as they slate to face off on Sunday?
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, I'm just so pumped to have this game because the storylines are crazy, man. I mean, You got Joe Flacco's first game back in Baltimore. I mean, that's crazy. Then you got the 30th anniversary of the Ravens, as a franchise. Speaking of 30th anniversaries, and they're having the ceremony against the Browns, which obviously people in Cleveland are not happy about at all. And I don't know if you saw it, Ryan, but, Jerry Jeudy, the Browns receiver, was asked about the challenges that the Ravens secondary presents. He said no challenges. They asked Brown safety Grant Delpit how hard it was to bring down Derrick Henry. He said not hard at all. I mean, hey, I love it. I'm doing the game on TV. Keep it coming, fellas. Keep it coming. Give me the animosity. Give me the rivalry. Give me everything. Give me all the bulletin board material. I am beyond fired up for this one. The Browns defense looked nasty against the Bengals. They gave up 7 yards in the second half to Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and the Bengals. I think I got to look it up, but might have been the first team to lose in like 25 years, giving up 7 yards in the second half.
Yeah,
the Ravens are interesting, right? I think they have enough talent on the defensive side of the ball. They certainly have some very good players at all 3 levels.
Mm-hmm.
They have a unique ability, and it's not good to not make the critical play that they need to make in critical situations, right? Like I thought the end, people focus on the end of the game. I thought the end of the first half was really bad. I mean, really bad.
Yeah.
You allow a 30-yard throw for Josh Allen to break contain. That even got him in position so that they could throw the out route to Kincaid with 1 second left and bang that field goal. That field goal ended up being the difference in the game. These things matter. And to me, that was unacceptable that happened in that manner for the Ravens defense. And obviously the second half at the end of the game, I think they ran out of gas. I mean, they had 80-some snaps on defense. That's a lot. I think they only had 51 snaps on offense, 84 on defense. Most time it's like 65-65, right? So I really think since it was the first game, the Ravens kind of ran out of gas. They also had a lot of misfortune, right? I mean, Henry never fumbles. He fumbled. Fourth down, they have the ball. It's a bad ball by Josh Allen. Tips off Dawson Knox's hand right to this other kid, Keon Coleman, for a touchdown. But, that stuff like that seems to snowball against the Ravens more often than other teams.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, I think you have a follow-up to that.
Yeah, Ross, actually perfect timing. Appreciate you joining us. I was just going to ask you about that. From your experience, obviously being on the field in the NFL and then covering it, what is it like from a player's perspective? The Ravens recently, especially over the past few years, it has felt like big leads, something happens, things start snowballing, and they've lost a few of those games. When you're on the field as a player and that kind of starts happening, we talked to Joe Thomas about this. We've asked others about it. What's it like on the field? Do you have to try to keep out of your mind of like, oh boy, here we go again? And how do you try to get past that and not play conservative? Because I think that's the biggest thing right now that fans are kind of upset about, maybe some media as well, is do the Ravens get too conservative when things start going sideways and they start playing not to lose instead of just play to win the game? What's your kind of thoughts on, in those moments, how players react?
Well, so this is interesting, right? I do think it should be said, Zach, that it's crazy how many double-digit leads the Ravens have gotten, right? And one reason why they've blown more double-digit leads than anybody else, they've gotten more double-digit leads than anyone else, right? I mean, it's not easy to do that in the NFL. So give them some credit for that aspect of it. And to answer your question, I do think whether it's conscious or subconscious, and whether those guys would admit it, I do think there's something psychological there about kind of here we go again. Like I said, whether it's conscious or subconscious, there's something there, which is also why I'll never agree with people that don't believe momentum is a thing. Yeah. There's all kinds of analytics folks that will give you this so-called evidence that there's no momentum. I'm waiting for the first guy that ever actually laced them up to say that, right?
Yeah.
Because we've all been part of it on both sides, where it just like things start going your way and it's unbelievable. Everything starts going your way and vice versa. And I don't have a great explanation for it other than there is such a thing as momentum. And the only way you stop that is by making a play, right? Is by being the one that stops the momentum that the other team might have. Ravens have not done a good job of that. Frankly, I think one of the reasons for that is they don't really have an elite pass rusher, right?
Yeah.
They have a bunch of good rushers, Kyle Van Noy and Owe, and we'll see what this Mike Green kid can do, Matabike. But if you think about their division, they don't have future Hall of Famers like Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, or even an elite edge guy like Trey Hendrickson, right? So they got to do it a different way because they don't really have that guy that is paid big money to close out games.
Yeah, and then real fast, kind of talking about conservativeness and not having that big edge rusher to go make a play. From an offensive lineman standpoint, when you were on offense, one of the big knocks against the Ravens this past week, especially from some fans and media, has been, they got too conservative on defense, the quote unquote prevent defense, keep everything in front. We'll give up 10, 15-yard chunks, but keep everything in front. As an offense, when you have momentum and maybe you notice that defense is now starting to play not to lose, instead of they're attacking, they're more reacting. What kind of confidence does that give you? Because you talked about momentum. Is that easier for you guys to be like, hey, it feels like they're just kind of backing off. They want to, keep it in front. This is when we can attack. Or what's your mindset in that?
No question. You can definitely see him getting tired, which is one of the reasons why I think teams do come from behind, is that when you start to go no huddle or 2 minute, especially the first game, Zach, because the first game, these guys have not been playing. They played maybe 10 snaps in the preseason or whatever they played, right? Now you get to 75, 80 snaps. You're going no huddle. I don't care what kind of shape you think you're in. You're not in that kind of shape. There's nothing more tiring in the sport than playing defensive line, because you have to exert so much energy to try to get to the quarterback. So we love 2 minute drill when you get a couple first downs, right? The first couple plays, that's the worst because they're just teeing off on you. But then once you kind of get a little momentum on that drive, those guys can't even get out of their stance. And so they got all the lactic acid builds up, and then you're killing them. Then it's awesome. And I think that's what really happened a little bit to the Ravens on Sunday night.
Yeah, and also then it doesn't help when you have if Lamar Jackson's considered the most mobile, dynamic in that regard, well, Josh Allen is right there as well. And so that even adds to all of it too, Ross, right? It was the type of competition that they're going against, plus being fatigued. And Josh Allen, whether people think he should have won the MVP last year or not, he is an MVP player. He is that dang good. And you're going to have to be on top of your game. If not, he'll exploit you. Joe Flacco's not as mobile, so we'll see how that looks on Sunday. Ross, I know you talk about really everything with football. You are so detailed on everything. Before I let you go, is there one thing, at least for this Sunday, a matchup, a player that you've been eyeing or watching going into this matchup?
Yeah, I think two things to keep an eye on. The Browns had their high second-round pick, Quinshon Judkins, practice for the first time today. So I'm super curious to see whether or not he plays. They didn't, run the ball very well last week, but they think he's like their new Nick Chubb. Yeah. So this might be his first time out there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Number 10, Judkins, if the Browns put him out there. The Browns have a bunch of really good rookies that have played well. But I think the other thing to keep an eye on is just the Browns D-line. I mean, Myles Garrett might be the best defensive player in football. These other guys kind of dominated the Bengals. I thought the Ravens O-line was okay the other night. A lot of positives, but not that great. That Ed Oliver kind of ruined the game a little bit for them. So I think that we need that, for the Ravens to get to where fans want them to get to, I think their offensive line needs to perform better than they did, in particular against Ed Oliver. So keep an eye on not only Myles Garrett, but 57, Isaiah McGuire, and their top 10 pick, Mason Graham, 94, out of Michigan.
There's a lot of players to watch if you haven't heard of them. And then obviously, yes, Myles Garrett, lives in a lot of players' dreams or nightmares. I mean, heck, Joe Burrow might be having a few thoughts after, if you've seen that angle, Zach. I know, Ross, you probably seen it, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah.
That is terrifying. That, like, if you're saying build me a defensive player, it's Myles Garrett. Just that dude is special, so talented. And the Browns, Nick Moore said it earlier when we had him on. I think the Ravens and Browns have split recently over the years here. So these games are going to be physical. Well, Ross, I love going down the baseball, going down the past with the baseball connections. Love talking football with you. And once again, where can everyone find you besides at Ross Tucker NFL everywhere? You got the Ross Tucker podcast, futurefans.com. Am I missing anything else that you got? You do everything.
No, I think that's good. Hit me up on social media. I'll be posting whatever beers I'm drinking and whatever food I'm eating in Baltimore the next couple of days. People seem to like that. And whatever the press box food is, I've invented that genre of press box food spread videos. So at Ross Tucker NFL. If you want to find out everything going on in the NFL in 30 minutes or less, it's the Ross Tucker podcast. And seriously, there's nothing better than getting your child to actually watch the games with you and understand football. Trying to explain it yourself is a lot harder than you think. Futurefans.com. Go check it out. It's kind of the gift that keeps on giving. Futurefans.com. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.
I appreciate it, Ross. And hey, safe travel down. Enjoy all the good food and enjoy what should be a great game here on Sunday.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Ross Tucker, everybody. I could talk ball. I could talk food. Also going back and talk about Harrisburg right there. Also, I love the appreciation about when he mentioned about Joe Thomas, because I don't think people talk about that enough. And we have that, by the way, for our channel members. We haven't released that part of the interview yet. Of Joe Thomas talking about how he injured himself and how he continued to battle through all of these injuries throughout the years when the Browns were really going through it. We will release that for channel members. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to help the channel, click that join button where we got Rip's Good Kids and Rip's Better Kids. And the Better Kids, you're going to get members-only videos that are going to have access to some of these interviews that we haven't released yet, or that will just be specifically for you. I mean, hell, maybe we'll have a cat video party in the future here for Kevin as we continue on, or maybe not. Maybe not.
Forgot I can put myself in this tiny box in the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, yes, we do have a free Discord as well. And Kevin and Zach react after the games as well. Yep. Am I missing anything else?
I think that's good for right now. I think we're good for right now.
Everything you got?
Yeah.
All right, let's bring on Locked On Kevin. Where is he? He's hiding. Oh, my goodness. There he is. Kevin.
He sneaks up on you.
And he actually gave me a proper intro this time instead of bringing me right on the screen when I wasn't expecting
it. Was a mistake, Kevin.
Time out. Not us.
Yeah.
Not us.
Yeah.
Not us.
Was that Brad who did that?
Yes.
It was Brad. Okay.
I mean, I know it's easy to point the finger at me because it's the Ryan Ripken show. So therefore, I know
your name's on it, right? I mean,
my name is on it. That is correct. But Kev, how we doing, buddy? How you feeling?
Oh, doing all right. Just getting ready for Thursday night. I need Scary Terry to come through for me. So that's
tough matchup.
I know. You know, if he and AJ Brown both have bad games, maybe I might try to get some AJ Brown stock. I'm not sure. You know, I'm all about the trades, Ryan. You know that. I'm all about the moves.
Kevin is the worst person to be in a fantasy league yet, because everyone in your league will receive at least 2 to 3 trade requests, none of which they will benefit from.
I have not sent one trade. I have not sent one trade.
No, but I was in the leagues last year, Kevin. I was seeing all the Kevin.
I didn't even send you that many. No way.
Yeah, but the other people, I'm seeing every other week. You're making a move.
Okay, that's not me though. Why is that my problem?
Because I know who proposed them in 22 leagues. You had so much, Mark Andrews. I remember you getting.
True. Yeah.
Although underrated.
After Ryan took one for the team, and
Ryan taking one for the team, getting rid of Mark Andrews last year to set him up for success.
I did, and then I bought him back. I set him free to just spend all the rest of my fab to bring him on home, but it had to be done. and he was set free. Maybe that's got to happen again this year. You know,
I will say real fast, just because we brought Fab. I saw a few people talking about Harold Fannin was the big grab in fantasy this week on waiver wires. Saw multiple screenshots of people spending like 85, 90 Fab on him.
Yeah.
And it was like next highest bid, 36. And I'm like, oh, that's a tough scene. I'm like, but you have to do what you got to do.
I've never done like the Fab thing before. It's new to me this year. And
you haven't fabbed it up?
No, it's just been waivers, just plain old waivers for me. And I did I lost out on the guy. And because, I would hate to be in that situation where you're spending like all your money and then nobody else spends the money on that guy. And you're just like, well, why did I just do that? I wasted all my money for no reason. So I guess you kind of try to balance that, but it's
you got to be strategical. You got to be strategical. It's like being your own GM. Figure it out, Kevin. And
maybe I'm not cut out for it. I don't know.
Well, we will find out here soon enough. And yes, for the Holy Shirts and Pants League, by the way, well, it's Holy Shirts and Pants still, even though it's now for the guys that are part of the Rips Better Kids. We're off to the races. Zach, did you win week 1?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes, I did. Don't say it so shocked. Yes, I got the win.
Well, I'm surprised. So, Kevin, initially, we're like, we had the group lined up, and we had Zach participate last year because we had the show.
Yeah.
We needed the one spot, so Zach participated. And then we didn't know what was happening here.
Zach said he found out like 5 minutes before the draft. He was drafting.
The other thing is Sleeper will automatically, if you leave the app and come back in the mid-draft, it turns on auto draft. So I would be sitting there watching my pick come up, and then it would auto draft for me. I'm like, what? Why did I just?
You had a lot of,
and
you
then
had
you
a lot of
go
horror stories.
Actually,
in the drafts.
This draft cycle was really bad for me.
Yeah,
the worst
you had a rough one.
Well, so my two highest, importance leagues, the ones that have the highest buy-in, and I've been in for each of them close to 10 years now. Both of them suddenly got moved because people had some issues on Labor Day. And so they both got moved to 7 p.m. on that Monday. And I had the 9th pick in one and the 10th in the other. So multiple times I was sitting on the clock in both and having to be like, okay, who do I have? It was tough. I would not recommend it. I know you do that all the time.
I've had 5 drafts running at once. Yeah.
Can't do that. But by the way, who did win? Joe won week 1.
I saw that, Joe.
Joe won week 1 after taking the Bills D. And you know what? Maybe he's on to something with Cam Little. 15 points. The dude's got a boot. And Patrick Mahomes obviously had a big game. And the Razorbacks, man. It was a good showing for the Razorbacks right there. But yes, week 2 is going to continue on there. Fantasy football is a lot of fun. We'll get into some more fantasy talk here as we move on to the show. Kev, we've had a lot of guests on today.
I know, I was waiting my turn. I was watching in the background and doing my work and getting ready and wanted to come on after everybody.
Yeah, so. It came on quickly.
I know. Nick had a couple of good clips. I'm gonna try to get one of those out.
Yeah. Well, you don't think what? Marvin Lewis?
Yeah, Marvin.
All of them did, but I'm brainstorming ahead. I heard Marvin's story about Anthony Mitchell. I was there. I heard it.
The 2 takeaways from today: Nick Moore, massive ACC fan. Kevin Oestreicher, not a fan of Marvin Lewis interviews. Apparently, that's apparently.
I'll take that over, which is not true, by the way. But I'll take that over the last narrative about me, which is that I just hate humans. So.
Well,
I forgot about
this
that.
Absolute falsehood narrative.
Oh, so you don't care about the human?
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
I mean, people don't forget that. Also, then Ross Tucker loves Camden Yards, loves Boogs over there, and loves some seafood. And he's right. There's a lot of storylines, Kevin, that game for the Ravens that we got into, and you've been covering it left and right. So we don't have to fully dive into it, but should be interesting. We got Joe Flacco coming back. And people that have watched the show, we had Joe on a few months ago, and we touched base with him before, and he's saying, he's excited. He's got all love. He even said that. I can't say the rest of Cleveland has love for the Ravens, especially doing this anniversary for winning the Super Bowl. against the Browns. But to be fair, like I know I'm not trying to, it's not a bias being in Baltimore. Typically, I feel like for events, people do it on their first home game.
Well,
Yeah,
like,
30 years.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut you off, but the Ravens released a statement, or I guess it was a spokesperson, that said that planning for this went on months before the opponent was announced for the first home game. And like, I'm sure they understand the optics of it. Like they're definitely not blind to it, but you know, I also don't think that if a team is planning out for months and then all of a sudden you get the schedule, you know, you see it's kind of happening on this day and, you know, all of a sudden you have to reschedule everything. I just, you know, I don't think the Ravens should have moved it. Like, sure, the optics are what they are and it is what it is, but you know, if I don't know, maybe it would have been like, okay, I'll ask this question. Would you feel the same way if like the Colts did a 30-year anniversary when the Ravens are coming to town? Like, would you feel differently about that?
I mean, look,
well, here's the thing. I'll answer this for you.
Oh, okay.
If it was week 1, no. Or week 2, if there's the first home game, no. It would be totally different if this schedule was
6?
Yeah. If this was a random Sunday in November, then everyone could be like, "This is definitely planned out."
Like, and they have one.
Yes,
they have. From what I understand, they have a planned out ceremony or like later in the season. I think when Pittsburgh comes to town is potentially like this is the first game of the year. Now, is it a storyline? For sure. Are the Ravens and Browns both 0-1 facing off against each other where they both could have won their first game? Absolutely. We're right here. It's going to be a fun atmosphere, especially also that Grant Delpit's joking because he had a good hit on Derrick Henry and saying it's not hard to tackle him.
Oh, he was not joking when he said that.
I know he wasn't joking. And then Jerry Jeudy saying, no one to worry about in the secondary, which we're going to find out a lot here on Sunday. You know, but the Browns, the facts are the facts right now with the Ravens and the Browns over the last few years. They've split the series. It's been competitive. It's been, some cases, a costly turnover or turnovers by Baltimore has put Cleveland in a position to win. Happened in that game here 2 years ago when Deshaun Watson and the Browns came back and won that game. Last year, Ravens had many opportunities to intercept Jameis Winston, maybe 5 times to be exact. But the Browns found a way to win. And the Browns have, to Ross's point, once again, that Myles Garrett, he arguably is the best defensive player on the planet, can do everything. So it's going to be a fun matchup here as the Ravens welcome the Browns, Kevin. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet?
Hopefully more fun than week 1.
You know what? It was fun.
It was fun until it wasn't.
It was fun for 55
minutes, 56 minutes.
No, Kevin, I say 52 because I don't think the first drive for the Bills was very fun. I kind of take those 3 minutes as well. The middle 52 minutes of the game were very exciting.
Yeah.
A 10 out of 10 would recommend that.
Anytime. 10 out of 10. Well, guys, hey, we're going to talk a little bit more a little foosball here. But why don't we, because there's a game tonight, by the way, and I know then we got to talk a little bit about the Orioles and that they're back. They're not losing another game. They are going to, it's like in semi-pro, we will win 4th place. They might. They
actually might win.
They might win 4th place.
Actually very much in the card.
And there's 5 teams in this division, by the way.
Yeah,
we will win 4th place.
So 4th place is not
out of the question.
Not last, right? But the walk-off wins and sweeping the Pirates today. You guys went live right before we went live today, so we'll get into that in a little bit when we go around. Yeah, we're going to start going around Maryland right now, but we're going to go around Maryland and kind of talk about it, right? Because we got the Commanders are playing tonight. Like, that's a good game on the slate tonight.
It's a really good game. Like, I think an underrated
good
game. To the point where actually on Get Up, early, I believe it was Get Up or First Take, they were actually saying that the winner of this game is the front runner for the biggest competition to the Eagles. So, like, this is, I think people, maybe because you look at it's Jordan Love. It's the Packers. The Packers really don't. I mean, obviously Micah Parsons now, but besides that, the Packers are a great team, but you never really looked at their offense and went, there's the guy that makes it all work. They've got, just a carousel of weapons. Now, you kind of look at their defense is incredible now. Obviously, you had Micah Parsons. You got a very fun Commanders team. I don't disagree. I think this is underrated. One of the best matchups of the weekend, maybe number 2 behind Phillies Chiefs.
So why don't we go around Maryland here? Can we pull up that graphic at the one time? Red 7, Kevin.
Under.
Red. I mean, it's actually Zach this time, but it is under.
Yeah.
Red 7 and whammy. Here we are, and there it is. We're going around Maryland, courtesy and brought to you by our friends over at Next Move Charm City and the Belanger team over at Loan Depot. You guys ready for my read? You ready for this?
Let's do it.
You want to, Kevin, set the mood. Kevin, are you feeling the mood?
Oh,
Is that the mood?
Wow.
It was either that or so we went with that.
I don't know if either of those are.
I look. I'm not.
That's on me.
Is any other options? We got any other options?
I mean, we could go crickets, but I don't think
No,
that's good.
there's
That's
nothing
not,
else.
not for the sponsor.
There's nothing else.
You might have to do the fairy sound. I guess that was the closest one.
That's what you see, Kevin. That was what I was thinking as well.
Just snapping it up.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's out. That's out of here. But hey, all right, sports fans, are you ready to make your next big move? Whether you're buying, selling, or chasing that dream home, Brett Ritchie and Shannon Toback are your MVPs, and they bring championship-level strategy, hustle to every deal, wherever life takes you, the city, suburbs, or shore. Don't just make a move, make the right move with Next Move. Like, move those chains. Move those chains. You remember the old chain gangs, guys? Move those chains.
I miss them.
Move those chains.
But the old chain. Do you guys know what I'm talking about at the stadium? They would have the guys dressed in construction hats.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not that young. Okay, good. I was worried about this for a second. I was worried here.
Yeah, on the Jumbotron?
Yeah, well, yeah, but but there are people in
That's what they
at the bottom. They would have construction hats on. And the gloves.
But I'm saying, and then
we've had this conversation.
On the Jumbotron. It wasn't like they were just there, like it was always on the Jumbotron as well.
Okay, so we're
all talk about the same thing.
Yeah, okay, we're getting there. So we're gonna go around Maryland here because we got a few of the teams. We just talked about the Ravens. Why don't we talk about the game tonight, and we'll get to the Terps and Baltimore, the Orioles. The Commanders, though, like, this is just kind of knowing the story. Green Bay is favored by 3.5. The over-under set at 48.5 points. Why are we just showing you those numbers? Besides the betting component, just showing you that Green Bay, they believe right now, Vegas, that they're favored by more than 3 points. And if you watch Green Bay last week play the Lions, it's either the Lions got a lot of things they got to work on, or Green Bay's defense could be that stinking good, and they didn't even play that well offensively. And meanwhile, the Commanders, weird game for them as far as they had their struggles offensively. They ran the ball pretty well, but the Giants' defense held them to only 21 points. The Commanders' defense held the Giants touchdownless, which is the only game in week 1 where I apologize, it didn't score a touchdown, was the New York Giants. So I'm excited for it because I think on Thursday night games, you want action. This is an action game. This is Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love. You got Micah Parsons now joining that defense in Green Bay that's had a lot of success. And guess what? What are we going to see for the encore of Deebo Samuel? Will Terry McLaurin come up big for our guy, Kevin Oyster-Shucker?
Please.
You know? But, I mean, I think it's a great game to start off the week. And I got to say, on the side of this, I'm leaning Green Bay.
Yeah.
Just because at home. But if the Commanders go in and win this game, yeah, man, there's a lot of reason to believe that in this Washington team.
Yeah, I think the main battle that we're going to be looking at is the Jaden Daniels and that Commanders offense versus the Packers defense. And the Packers defense, this is I don't want to say it's a much bigger threat than the Lions because we know the Lions, but at the same time, the Lions have lost some guys on the O-line, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. They were definitely going through some growing pains in that first week with the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
I think Green Bay, another week of Micah Parsons getting into the system, all this, the comfortability. I am super, super, super intrigued to see Jaden Daniels versus this defense because especially Micah Parsons, we've seen Lamar versus Micah where Micah might win off the line. He might get past the defender, but then it's the cat and mouse game of can Jaden Daniels get around him? Can he make something happen with his legs? So that's really the matchup I'm looking forward to the most is how is this Commanders team going to counter the great defense in Green Bay? And how is this Green Bay defense going to counter this Commanders team that throughout the end of last season and obviously beginning this season has looked pretty good so far?
They certainly have. And we've mentioned this before. When the Commanders and the Ravens are good in this region, it's fun. It is a good time. And the common theme actually between these two is people being fans of the Baltimore Orioles. So, I mean, everyone could be happy here, but it is a great game, great schedule. I want to continue to see with Jaden Daniels. We talked about the second-year quarterbacks. How do you take that next step? And by no means am I expecting Jaden Daniels to take a step back, but he did have one of the best rookie years, especially where the team went. And CJ Stroud, we have seen they're trying to find their footing after he had that unbelievable first year. I believe it's going to be different with Jaden from what they've done and what they've established. And it looks like Dan Quinn has created a great culture there. But time will tell, Kev. Time will tell when it comes to the Commanders here. And Scary Terry, I wonder if is that going to be Kevin's lock? Is that his lock?
I need it because, I took him over Ibuka and Zach ended up getting Ibuka. So
yes, I did. I
had him on his bench, but we're not going to talk about that. But
yeah,
I do not have him on my bench this week. Let's just say,
yeah, Zach and I are playing each other this week. So,
sugar.
We'll see.
We're rocking and rolling here.
So Zach is going to take the under on Terry, and I'm going to take the over.
So there's an emotional bet coming on here potentially.
We might have to.
An emotional.
Yeah. Although actually, I texted Zach. I came up with a bit that Zach and I should do this year, whether it's here or on Kevin and Zach React. Probably on Kevin and Zach React.
Mm-hmm.
Every week, Zach and I go on a live stream, or maybe every month, Zach and I go on a live stream, and we can't end the stream until we agree on a trade.
So we just have to. Are you trying to take my players, Kevin?
Or you could take mine. You could come out on top. I'm not saying this is a me thing.
Yeah, who wins? All right, Kevin. We're also in what, like 2 leagues together, or is it from?
I think just one this year.
Yeah, and one too many.
So unless you're no, I think it's just one.
Yeah, I think it's just the one.
One too many. One too many.
It's also like this is a dynasty league. So this also just like these trades wouldn't just be impacting this year.
Exactly. That's the point.
I feel like this could be you guys doing this is like how many times Mike Bauman and I try to make a trade.
Yeah, but we can't end this. So we're going to be on there for like 5 hours arguing over Ibuka or someone.
I was going to say, is this just you trying to get Ibuka from me? Is this what it is? You're just trying to.
I'm not saying anything.
You an opportunity for Ibuka because I accidentally clicked Tyreek Hill the round before instead of Ibuka, and then he fell to me.
I'm surprised because you were in the middle of the pack, weren't you?
Yeah, I was 7.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm still shocked, Ryan. He took Bowers over Genty, and he's been like the biggest Genty guy I know.
I had to be. I had the first pick in a dynasty draft, like with just rookies. So
I got Genty. I might name my first son Ashton Genty Ripken.
Yeah.
Because you guys know I got the love for Boise State. Brother-in-law, go Broncos out there for Boise State, and go Buffs, by the way. We're not rooting for Maryland teams. It's the Buffs and the Broncos. It's in the family. But Genty, I've been watching him for a while. So I am all on board, and I'm invested in him in the big money league, Kev. I think the Raiders, sneaky, they could be good. They could be a good team, but they are not what's going around Maryland here. So let's continue on up then a little bit. Let's go to College Park where, hey, the Terps, fellas,
Don't know.
The Maryland Terps are 2-0. How are we feeling about it?
We're feeling good. I mean, it's. I feel like we are at that inevitable point in the Terps season where every year we're like, could the Terps be decent? Could Malik Washington and company actually make this happen? Little closer last weekend than probably for comfort, but they get the job done. I'm excited.
And guess who they're playing?
I was going to say versus Towson this week.
It's the Battle of Maryland here. The Towson Tigers versus the Terps. They're both 2-0. Are you kidding me? Well, Maryland, from a sake of what they hope to potentially do, they need to win this game. But Towson off to a good start. That game is on Saturday, September 13th at 12 p.m. at SECU Stadium. CQ, right? That's how you pronounce it?
Yep.
CQ, yeah, CQ.
CQ Arena.
I wanted to enunciate with the with my Invisalign. And shout out Dr. G, by the way. Yeah, Terps, that'll be an interesting one, but it's always early. I think where they're going to be judged is going to start September 20th, though, when they go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, actually. A mansion
in Wisconsin.
Who sang it, Kevin?
T-Pain.
Good job, Kevin.
Proud of you, Kevin. That was good.
I've never gotten one wrong on this show. You keep testing me, and I keep winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I leave you speechless. See?
Yep. That, good kids. Good
Thank
kids.
you.
Bum. Okay, I guess the last team that's in that region, if we're going up my map, should we go to Baltimore? Talk about the O's?
Yeah.
Or wait a minute, because we had a football thing. I forgot your Bolly's bet because it's about tonight.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So we should take a quick trip. My bad. Before we go back to Baltimore, maybe a quick trip up to our friends at Hollow Casino at Charlestown Races. Hey! West Virginia. Beautiful.
Beautiful, baby.
Beautiful. And we were up at Hollow Casino for week 1. It's great. We got to talk to Chris Cooley, Jamal Lewis. We ate a lot of food.
Good food.
Lindsay,
wings.
if you're watching this, hi, how you doing? Send me those photos of us with the food so we can showcase that. That was fun. That was
a lot of fun.
We were eating good. She even asked, "Where's the small one, Kevin?"
She did.
She did ask.
Every
the
time
small one, not even the tiny
one,
one, just small.
You're the small one when they talk.
That was it's all love. And we had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
I missed out. I wish I was there. I missed out.
Hey, you know what? I think we might be going back again in December. So we'll try to find a time where you're not so locked on.
I know. Line it up with my schedule. I need to be there.
It's hard, man. This is when Kevin's in overload. This is when Kevin is overloaded. But yeah, you're a good kid.
Thank you.
I don't care what Zach says about you.
I say a lot of things, Kevin.
But let's talk about then this Bolly's bet tonight, which by the way, because it doesn't count for that, you and I got off to the right track for our Sunday.
Yeah, this is not our Sunday bets. This is just my
bet tonight.
Yeah, I guess this is my Thursday night bets. Start out for one because George Pickens decided for the first time in his career to not make one-handed catches. I was like, what were we doing there? But that doesn't matter because we're getting back on track tonight. What are we doing that? No, Josh Jacobs, little parlay to get I wanted to go touchdown just straight up, but he scored in 9 straight games. So books are giving it to you at about -200. So I wanted to juice the odds a little bit. So we're adding 60 yards plus an anytime touchdown for Josh Jacobs, get you around a -120. Hey, Josh Jacobs is the star I talked about. They have so many weapons on the receiving core, Tucker Kraft at the tight end room. Josh Jacobs is the player who makes this offense go. Trust in their running back, trust in the star. I love Josh Jacobs. Have since he was at Alabama. I think he's a fantastic running back and couldn't be happier for the success he's having in Green Bay and couldn't be happier to watch it continue tonight with 60+ yards and find and pay dirt.
Hip, hip.
Parlay.
Hooray, because that means that I'm putting up points on Zach tonight because I have Josh Jacobs.
Oh,
so
there you go.
let's go.
Yeah, but here's the unfortunate part of being in so many leagues is like this is one of those guys where like I have to have him have a very okay game because I also have him in league. So I'm like,
I feel your pain.
don't overdo it, Josh. But let's
Definitely
like
overdo it, Josh.
If we could get like 16, 15 to 6, I would be really happy. I'd be like, good job, because I can then work with that against you and I can make something happen in the other league.
Well, 16 at Tutty would be 12 points if there's no receptions, right? So time will tell. That's your bet. That doesn't count for you being 1-0 with me on Sunday, but that's your Bolly's bet tonight. And we appreciate our friends up at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. All right. Now I guess we should talk a little bit of baseball.
Something happened?
We can still talk baseball. I know it's football season. Everyone says, Ryan, where's all the baseball content? Don't worry. See a lot of interviews that you guys are going to get more access to. Part 4, by the way, of the sit down with Calvin, depending on the scheduling, will either be out tonight or tomorrow. So you guys will see that. And then for our Rips Better kids, you might get a sneak peek at, well, what that other interview we have rocking and rolling here soon with another fellow Hall of Famer. So stay tuned with that. But guys, we might say that talking about the Orioles and that they are winning some more games and they've had some walk-offs, that would be the conversation point, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's actually, around Major League Baseball, the story today is not of, what are the teams in the playoff hunt going to be? It's the fact that the Orioles actually made a pretty substantial change or promotion, you should say. And it happened before the season even started. That and correct me if I'm wrong, it's right there. Right, that Orioles promoted Michael Elias to be the president of baseball operations this winter.
Yeah. This winter.
Wild.
So this has been going on. I think, though, this is the search for a GM, I think, is more public now, obviously. And what I'm wondering, if this is why this came out, is we have already not only had our first, we're finding out about this. We also have our first, I guess, person that denied the job. Yeah. And that is for the Chicago White Sox, according to a source. The Orioles indeed had interest in White Sox assistant GM Josh Barfield for a potential front office role, but Barfield plans to stay in Chicago and will not be joining Baltimore. Wondering if the timing of these two, maybe the Orioles had something they thought they were going to get done.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen, and then they're like, okay, well, now people are going to know we're looking for a GM. But, yeah, so it seems as if the GM search is on in Baltimore. Michael Elias promoted. I know a lot of people asked for the Orioles to look for a new GM. Boom, you got it. Orioles, Michael Elias promoted president of baseball operations, and they will now be looking for a new GM this fall and winter.
So the title that had always been out there was vice president of baseball operations and general manager. That's what Michael Elias had been known for. But in my mind, there's never been a quote unquote president of baseball operations title. Yeah. So whoever's been the vice president, in my opinion, has been the one that's overseen all of the baseball decisions. Now, with this move, you're probably wondering, well, what does that mean for the general manager coming in? I still think it's still going to be what Mike Elias and the front office that has already established. They are going to have the final say. The general manager might be more on the day-to-day of trying to construct certain players. But if we're thinking it's a whole different construction, that's not how this is going to be. You can go and look at other organizations. The Phillies are a great example. I love Preston Mattingly. Got to interview him down at the winter meetings. But you know who's the president of baseball operations over there? Dave Dombrowski. Yeah. And you don't think that his presence over there is the one that's leading this conversation? That's what it's going to continue to be. But I guess what I am curious about, guys, and Kev, is what direction will they want to go here? And what does that role kind of then look like? What is it going to look like to then be the general manager and coming into a situation in Baltimore where whatever you decide to do, in my mind, the ultimate goal still stands. How are you going to address your needs in the offseason? Is it just someone else is helping in this process, right, Kev? Like I want to see how that partnership's going to work out. Am I saying that? Am I articulating that well enough?
No, I hear you. And, we probably will never fully know the extent of who's doing what, who's making moves, but I agree with you where, I think this is still going to be Mike Elias's ship to sail. And, this new GM coming in, whoever it is probably going to be focusing on the littler stuff as well as giving his ideas and input, right? I think it opens up new perspective. And if that's all that this does, I still think that's a positive step in the right direction. I mean, we've all kind of been talking about it, despite all the calls to fire him, it was unrealistic that was going to happen. And, little did we know behind the scenes, he'd actually gotten a promotion. So I guess we were onto something there, but it doesn't change the outcome. It doesn't change the pressure on this offseason for the Orioles where, you need to be aggressive. You need to go out there and kind of round out this roster around this young core. You have your stars that are established, but then and Zach and I talked about this on Kevin and Zach React earlier today, just before this show started, where guys like Beavers and Basayo, they're, kind of brute forcing their way into that young core too. And that's really cool to see. Jeremiah Jackson's been incredible. And it's about rounding out that roster. This doesn't change that. There is still pressure on Mike Elias, still pressure on the Baltimore Orioles, because again, we thought that the losing was over, right? We thought it was, you turn the page, everything is all of a sudden, all right, this is the new version of the team. Of course, things went sideways this season for a lot of different reasons, but this can't be the norm again. You need to be able to get back to what you have looked like, especially in 2023. Obviously, the first half of 2024, before it all kind of spiraled there, that's what the standard needs to be. And whoever comes in, I think perspective is always good. But I do think that, this is not a signal that Elias is all of a sudden just going to be super hands off and not focus on the moves that are happening. This is, again, as I said, still Mike Elias's ship to sail.
I want to continue to drive that point home. He is going to be, whoever he brings in is going to be right with the philosophy of what he wants to do. And I do know that they're trying to figure out, well, what's their identity going to be next year? What's going to be that culture and philosophy going into 2026? That needs to be established. But yes, I think it's just working hand in hand. The president of baseball operations, it's a fancier term for just a super GM, in my opinion. Like it's the GM is going to make moves, but Mike Elias is going to be involved in everything which way. Now the question is going to be, and I saw some comments here, but internal or outside. Well, if the source is correct, it looks like they're open to the outside, and you got a lot of connections throughout baseball of who that may be. And quite frankly, I'll be honest, guys, it might be best to bring someone in from the outside. I think that the perspective coming in from somewhere else is might be what the team needs. It's kind of the conversation that we have of, if the Orioles decide to keep Tony Manzolino as the take off the interim tag and make him the manager, there's a connectivity that you have within the organization. But if you bring someone else in, the hypothetical, because that's how I see it, it's either Manzo's going to be the guy, or they go after a young manager that's up and coming. I'm having the hard time day by day thinking they're going to bring in a veteran manager only if they allow him to manage the way that he wants to manage. And that's not what a lot of teams love to do nowadays, specifically. So, you got to know which organization you're kind of working with. San Diego said when they brought in Mike Schilt, they said, hey, we want that veteran presence. We're going to do that. Dave Roberts has been there forever with the Dodgers, and they have their analytics, but Dave's a former player. hot names like Ryan Flaherty is one where does he fit in? What's he going to be allowed to do? And there's going to be this next wave of manager that's going to come in here and be an option, though, whether it's Baltimore or somewhere else. So a lot of question marks here, but for Baltimore, hey, guys, they're battling. They're scratching and clawing. But whatever they do to finish out this year is not going to change the fact of there is some serious deep diving that they're going to have to look at here. Especially with that the Yankees will be better. I think Boston's going to be really good next year. I'd be shocked if they're not. And then Tampa's Tampa. So, and Toronto, we'll see if they hold on, Kev. We'll see if they hold on, Zach.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting offseason for every single team in the AL East. I mean, obviously, Boston, you're going to have decisions. It looks like Bregman, barring anything unforeseen, he's got to opt out, so you got to negotiate there. Toronto's got some big decisions as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to be – there's a lot of big names for Toronto that are key parts of that offense that's so good. It's going to be really interesting. Obviously, the Yankees next year, they get Garrett Cole back. Like, there, you want to talk about additions, like they get Garrett Cole back. So, yeah, Orioles have to compete this offseason in hopes to compete in the regular season. So, it's going to be a massive, massive year for the entire AL East because, I mean, no one's won back-to-back in how many years? And I don't, especially if Toronto wins it this year, I think it is very much open next year as well. I think you can make an argument for all 5 teams. Tampa's argument probably being they're Tampa, and they're always going to find ways to be in that conversation. But if you look at the talent on the rosters, AL East is still, I know obviously the NL West is the poster division right now for toughest divisions in baseball, but you want to talk about young talent, look no further than the AL East.
And the AL East, by the way, still at this current moment in time, is the only division with 3 teams with 80 or more wins.
Dogfighting.
And the Rays are 2 games below 500 at 72 and 74, and the Orioles are 8 games under. But to keep that in perspective, the Athletics are 13 games under and dead last. The White Sox are 33 under in dead last. Pittsburgh 64 and 83, who they just swept. The Nationals 25 games under. And then you're looking at the Colorado Rockies 66 games under 500. So even though the Orioles, obviously, they're a last place team right now, when you look around the league, they are not at the bottom of the barrel with how some other teams are playing. But that just shows you how tough this AL East is, and that it truly is going to be a wide open race so long as you go ahead and take care of business and get off to a solid start next year, or just get off to a start where it doesn't sink you like it did this year. So time will tell. Health, figuring out fundamentals, situational situations. Kevin, write that down.
There you go.
Do. Well, guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. Get up with us on Sunday as we get ready for the NFL day. Shows roughly start early in the morning, 9:30 maybe. We're not going past 11 because, let guys like Kevin get you ready for the game. But then during the game with the watch-alongs, Locked On Ravens, make sure you're subscribed over there. And then check in with Kevin and Zach React after post-game for slight reaction, then big reaction later on in the day. We've had a great show so far with Nick Moore, Ravens long snapper, former defensive coordinator for the Ravens and head coach of the Bengals, Marvin Lewis. And then Ross Tucker, who is going to be calling the game here for CBS on Sunday. The Ross Tucker podcast, at Ross Tucker NFL everywhere. It's good. It's been a good day so far, guys. Been a good day so far. Kev, did I miss you with anything there?
No. Go Ravens, go Orioles, go Kevin's fantasy team against Zach. And we're I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah. I don't know if we're all in agreement, but
I think we are.
Yeah.
Just Brock Purdy, man. turf toe out 2 to 5 weeks.
Do you have Brock Purdy?
In one league.
I've never
How many leagues
drafted
do you
Brock
got
Purdy
there?
in any league. I think Zach's in more leagues than I am this year.
No, I don't think so.
I'm in
Including
7, 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Holy Shirts and Pants is my 8th, 9th.
I'm in
But
8 or
some of
9.
them, like I'm in like some family ones where it's like no money on the line. Obviously, the Holy Shirts and Pants.
Yeah.
So they're like, there's like 5 where I'm like, okay, this is competitive. Like I got to go out there, actually like be on the waiver wire, stuff like that. And then I have like 3 or 4 where it's like family, and then like Holy Shirts and Pants and stuff like that. Friends that are more just, hey, we're doing this for fun.
Well, I will say the bragging rights for like the Shirts and Pants League, like Laura beat me last year. I didn't like that. I didn't like that in the championship. I thought I had the best team. I thought I was right there. I know, there's some good teams, but I didn't like losing. I don't like losing, period. Okay. Yeah. Money or no money. Now, when you have the money involved, then you're going to feel it more on the financial side. But I like to win, Zach. I like to win, and I expect to win every Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. Wow, it's kind of like our show days. How about that?
Wow.
We're winning every time we're coming on this show. How about that? Hey now. Well, you know what? Also, Brooks, maybe we play for money we can have a little side bet on our matchup.
Ooh.
How you doing? That'd be fun.
Look at that.
Now we're talking.
Loser. Well, I'm afraid of what we could come up with here. There's some ideas. Before we get on out of here, I want to go back Throwback Thursday today. It is Throwback Thursday. And a little bit more on the sentimental side, because I like to look back on days. And I actually posted this on social media earlier, if you guys did see. And if you recognize what day it is today, it is September 11th, 2025. And 24 years ago, it was one of those days in American history that people will not forget, if you were alive for it. Zach, I know you were 1 year old, Kevin, not far behind him. I was in second grade. And why I'm pulling this photo up here for a second is this photo was taken in New York in 2001. 2 weeks after 9/11. And it was actually supposed to be my dad's last game of his career. But with everything that transpired, obviously then season was pushed around and the Orioles finished in Baltimore against the Boston Red Sox. But there's little Ryan right there. Man, that haircut and that hair, just beautiful. I know. And there's my sister Rachel, my dad. I believe you got Melvin Moore in that photo. You got Mike Hargrove in the background there. That brings back memories. I was on the field for that final day. And at that time, if you were old enough, you remember where you were when tragic moments happened. So for that, I remember on 9/11, I was in second grade at school at Gilman. And I remember being brought into a classroom and being sat down and talked, being told of the situation, but not understanding the situation, right? Like you're told about it, but you don't understand the magnitude of what happened. And so why I bring that up is that I go to New York and I'm at that stadium and you're trying to understand, I'm still trying to understand how good number 8 was on the Orioles. Like, why does everyone love this guy as a player? Trying to understand that, number one. And number 2, you have this sense of heartache and grief in a city that when you go to New York now, you feel the energy. You feel what it represents and what it means. And it's a place of opportunity. And whether you like their sports teams or not, it's one of the greatest cities in the world. And they were in pain. The United States was in pain. And I could feel that. I didn't understand it at the time, but I could feel it. And so I like to look back on those moments, not to dwell, but it's good to remember painful moments and painful memories because it means that you care. But also through all the grief and all the despair, there was moments of optimism. There was moments of hope and resiliency and unity and togetherness, which was so special to see. And baseball was a huge part of it in 2001. You know, another clip actually, and I actually might be able to get it over to you guys quick enough to watch, was we had Bobby Witt Sr. on. And Bobby Witt Sr. played on the Arizona Diamondbacks that year when the Yankees in 2001, they played in the World Series. And that was one of the coolest experiences when you go back. Like, to me, that was the iconic World Series that, even for me, what baseball's supposed to be. The passion, unbelievable competition on the field, and when a nation needed something and a distraction, the game delivered. And so I mention all this now, and this isn't, again, anything else that's going on. You guys know how I roll. I don't want to get more into all of those conversations. But what I do want to say is that moments like that happened 24 years ago. We are stronger when we're together as one. And through dark times, we can get to something that's so much more impactful. And that day when I look at that photo was one of those moments where I could sense it, I could feel it, of people coming together on a time where there was so much uncertainty. So I wanted to share on that. It's good to look back at history, and it's good to always remember those that lost their lives and the heroes that sacrificed their time to make a difference and make an impact. And now the only thing that you can hope now is to continue to live your life in a way that you think can represent the ones that don't have the opportunity now. So I just wanted to speak on that. That's all I have on that. And I hope my dad is 41 in that photo, I believe. I hope I have hair still at that point. In closing, right
so
there.
So 9, you got 9. I believe in you. 9 years.
9 years.
I think you can
to avoid that.
I think you can hold on.
I mean, I want the blonde hair back. I really do.
You should just dye it blonde one day, grow it up, dye it blonde, just see if anyone says anything.
Yeah. So you're talking like getting like the frosted tips? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, because you still got some brown underneath there.
Yeah. Also, by the way, that was just how my hair was. I didn't do anything
I didn't
special.
think frosted tip did at that age.
You know, I did like the Backstreet Boys. I still enjoy a good boy band and NSYNC. I enjoy both. Still do. Kevin, you know a Backstreet Boys song besides Backstreet's Back?
All right.
Yes, but I can't remember right now. I definitely have it on. I'm gonna look at my playlist and see.
Tell me why nothing but a heart. Tell me why
I'm
ain't
tired.
nothing but a mistake.
Tell me why.
I never.
All right, we have. Yep, I want it that way.
I want it that way.
And we have the "Let It Be Me" with Steve Aoki and Backstreet Boys. That's a banger.
It's not an iconic Backstreet
Well,
Boys song.
but it's still Backstreet Boys.
See, you don't even know that song though. We're
What
talking about like
song?
"Quit Playing Games with My Heart." You know, "Larger Than Life." You know, and I'm not going to even continue in this because it's only going to make me mad. It's only going to make me mad. What do you think,
Kevin?
Yep, it's making him mad too. You know what?
Stop
The bird is even mad.
I actually, funny
Kevin?
story. I at the antique store I went to, I saw one of those bobbleheads on sale for $98.
Here?
That
Huh? No, the
bobblehead.
the cow bobblehead.
Bobblehead.
$98?
$98.
We might have to make a decision. You know, that's the going rate.
We do need some upgrades here.
You know,
if we don't get the channel memberships
people
back
don't-
up, we're gonna have to.
If things start disappearing off the desk, you guys know.
We might have to sell the jukebox too. You know.
Yeah, right.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. No, but we do appreciate all of our channel members here. You guys have continued to help this grow. We appreciate our subscribers too, but those paid channel members, the good kids and the Rips Better kids, It helps us out tremendously. Continue to grow this. I don't like using the word media empire, as you guys know, but we're trying to make this media group into something special. So every membership helps us. And for the Rips Better kids, stay tuned. You're going to have some members only video. That Joe Thomas story that we talked about, Zach and I were on for that on Monday. That's an awesome story. You guys are going to hear that about how Joe Thomas was the reason why he had to almost end his consecutive snap streak, which is very interesting. You don't usually hear that very often, but you also don't meet a guy that has the power of Joe Thomas. You're going to have to see what I mean when we drop that clip later on. What do we got? Any other thoughts?
No, I don't. Anything else?
No,
Kevin?
I think we're good. I think we're good.
You know, I know they say I got a ring. It says love. I got a signed. It says be kind.
Ooh.
Love it.
Love that sign. It's good stuff here, Kevin. Except when it's about except Rocco, not Kevin. Sorry. Except when it's Rocco.
Yeah.
All bets are off.
Understandable.
Understandable.
It's all right.
Show me the meaning of being lonely. Backstreet Boys. All right. I think we're done. Red 7. Click the button. Hot route. There it is. Oh, we got the music back. Yep, there it is, Kevin. Be ready.
Oh, yeah. I'm there.
As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking rest of your Thursday. Happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend. And guess what? We'll see you back here on Sunday morning. Get up with us as we get ready for week 2 of the NFL season. Be good.